Hello and welcome to the latest episode of How I Failed in Business, the business podcast designed to remind business owners, entrepreneurs and alike that mistakes happen, failures occur, and we are all human, as I've discovered, seeing as I've done this take about 5 times now. My name is Rob Spence, one of your hosts, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely
Sophia Grace, your other host.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, Michael Wheat of Ponds by Michael Wheat. Michael, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, hi. I'm glad to be here.
You just asked, we were just saying you were the first guest to ever ask about our lovely portrait of Gail Platt. Do you have an issue with Gail Platt? Or
I don't particularly have an issue. I just thought it was a bit odd. That's all.
So was it odd?
It was our premiere episode.
I think it was, wasn't it? We were discussing. It was like our pilot episode. Now, so this is a print. So done by the artist Joe Lycett, not the artist, the comedian Joe Lycett.
Yeah,
Definitely not an artist, I don't think. But I bought this because it was a limited edition print of Gail Platt. I've got no affiliation to Gail Platt. I just thought it was a funny thing to buy. Bought it, and I think you were taking the mick out of my art collection.
Well, I mean, this constitutes your art collection, so I think it requires some mockery.
It did. I think you penned the phrase "my porn posters."
You have,
I
You've
think
got
you said
Gail Platt and porn posters.
Yeah, so that's why she's now in the studio. She's open to offers. We've already had one guest try to buy her. Do you fancy putting a bid in or
no? Not really.
That's fine. Well, look, Michael, thanks for joining us. It's been a long time coming. Tell us all about you. Tell us about the business. Tell us what you do.
I don't know. I don't really get asked that question that much. So I've been in business now for, what would it be, 15 years, I think the company's been running for. I started working for my parents, and my parents had a garden centre. I worked for them. I think I was always kind of, I don't want to use the word destined, but I kind of always felt that I would probably run my own company one day. That was kind of my, everyone talks about what's your passion and what you're passionate about. Like, I have to be careful how I word this. It's not that I'm not passionate about ponds, because knowledge-wise and invested in it and all them things, absolutely. But my passion was always running the company. And I think one of the things I always say to my clients is that's kind of the person you want installing your project. You want the owner to be like that and not just be a hobbyist or be really passionate about it, in my opinion, because what makes the business tick and what makes it work is all the business side of it. So the making sure you got the right team, making sure you recruit well, and making sure that you attract the right leads, and the way, and that you look at customer service slightly differently because you care about it as a business. And I just think all them things actually really matter. And I kind of just went into an industry. I've jumped a step here, I'll go back, but I kind of just jumped into an industry where I just felt that it was kind of all hobbyists that had the companies, and there wasn't anyone that kind of wanted to run it as a proper business. And, in my opinion, I still think that's probably the case. But of course, that's subjective. So, I worked for my parents, and they had a garden centre. Obviously, when you talk about failures in business, you've got the person here that's seen a lot and has failed a lot, I have to say. Unfortunately, my parents, they moved out and had another garden centre, and when they went there, it was kind of a lot of poor decision making. I can go a bit deeper into that if you'd like me to later. And they lost that business, and I kind of knew probably about a year before it happened that it was going to happen. So I made the decision that I would go out on my own. I was already pricing my own work, doing my own work. My parents weren't involved in that. I was just doing my own thing, really. And I kind of just had a moment with my dad in the greenhouse and just said, Dad, I think I need to probably go out on my own and do my own thing. I'd already spoke to Mum about it. So, I mean, they were cool. I mean, it was very emotional. But, and then from there, I have looked back, but not, just gone forwards, really, and just took the business to different things. And today, what the company's known for is we do. I always think it's quite a difficult thing to explain to people because it's not like really common knowledge. A lot of people are getting into wild water swimming, where they're going swimming in a lake. So what we do is very similar to that, but it's just contained and done at home. So we basically build these swimming ponds for people to swim in safely. So I'm big on water safety because we don't use chlorine. So how do you get the water safe? So I'm big on all of that. And that's what the company does. So we do big installs, anything. I think the biggest we've done now is probably 60 metres by about 30 metres wide, crystal clear water to swim in. And yeah, that's predominantly what the company does, really.
That's incredible. I remember a few years ago, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and this is what for me put you on sort of my radar. You did a really great installation at, I want to say, the NEC Garden Show.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, we did Gardeners World Live.
Gardeners World Live, yes.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, so we partnered up with Barry, who I'll probably mention a few times because Barry Randall is my mentor. He still is to this day. I still work with Barry now. And me and him have a great relationship. I'm one of these sad people, I don't mind admitting this, that I don't really have any friends. So obviously my wife's my friend and all that, but the ongoing joke is I pay all my friends. So anybody I'd consider a friend, they're getting paid somehow. So Barry is my coach, so obviously gets paid. And then you kind of could argue it for a lot of people. But ultimately, I'm kind of just a bit of a, loner is the right word. I'm just kind of in my head, focused, driven, and doing what I'm doing. But Barry, I would say, is the closest thing to an actual proper friend. And yeah, he's just kind of been a great support for me. So we did Gardeners World Live together. I asked him if he'd do it with me, and he said he would. So we shared the install. We did a big install. And it's like one of them things where people say, did you get anything from it? Well, we didn't necessarily get any installs from it. We did probably get one or two. It wasn't probably quite as successful as I hoped it would have been. However, I think my view was, and I said to you earlier, Rob, I kind of consider the company a sales and marketing company. As a marketing exercise, I thought it would help, and it has helped. So on the website, we won an award there, and we're able to say we're award winners, and we've done BBC, and we're able to say that. And I met various people, and I had got a story about somebody famous, but it's probably not. Probably shouldn't air it, if I'm honest.
Oh, we got to hear. We got to
hear it now.
Yeah,
yeah.
We can change their
would
name.
Would it get me into any trouble? I don't think it would get me into any trouble.
We can bleep their name out.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I just think, yeah, okay, I'll tell it. So it was a very well known. I won't say the name. It's a very well known garden presenter.
Okay.
But it isn't Alan Titchmarsh.
Oh, that's what I thought of.
So, which everyone would assume it's him, who I've not met, but I've heard is lovely. It isn't him. It was somebody else. And what happened is we was filming. So obviously we want to get the most out of it. So let's also just bear in mind that install probably cost me 50 grand to do. Probably cost Barry the same. So we've both invested 100 grand in this. And you want to get the most out of it, right? So when the presenter came, they asked if they could come on our stand and do some recording for the very famous TV program that was on. And obviously,
well done.
Obviously, we was like, yeah, of course you can. So they came and filmed on it. The presenter came and had a quick chat with me. It's fine. And before they'd done this, we'd put some microphones up because we were doing recording. Yeah. Now, one of the microphones was on the bush, and they were having a private conversation, the two presenters. And one of the camera crew noticed it and said, "Oh, look, you just take that off because, we can see it in the camera shot." And basically they attacked me. So they kind of said, "What are you doing that? Why are you recording our private conversation?" Well, of course I wasn't. Why would I be interested in that? And I would say that this particular presenter has a reputation, so I'm told. and a lot of people told me afterwards that was the case. And so there was a bit of going back and forth about that, and I said, no, that isn't what was happening. We were just doing some recording. You've stepped on here. They were there, but take them off. It's fine. We'll delete the footage. It's fine. I don't feel any type of way. It's not like I need footage of you. I built my company without you. I don't need you. So anyway, that kind of ended. But I felt that I should do the right thing and go up to this person and apologise. So I walked over and I said, look, I am sorry about what happened. It isn't what we intended. That's not, it's kind of got mixed up. That's not what we was doing. We wasn't recording you necessarily. And he said it's a good job because if you haven't deleted the footage, you wouldn't have any kneecaps. Now, at the time when he said it to me, I mean, bearing in mind, I'm big, so like I certainly wasn't worried physically for any reason, but I didn't want to upset the potential of the company going on TV. Yeah. So at that point, I felt that it wasn't wise to say anything back. I was tempted to say a certain line, which I thought was hilarious, which is, and this kind of reveals kind of who it is.
Oh, say it.
Is that why they call you the Don?
I knew it.
But I just felt that maybe that wasn't the right time to say it. But it was his comment was inappropriate, as far as I'm concerned. It wasn't the right thing to do. Bearing in mind, I'm half his age. I'm trying to make it as a company. To do that, I just thought was... look, he was, angered or whatever. But there was time he'd cooled down. There was a cool down time, and then I apologised. I just don't understand why you don't just go, yeah, okay, yeah. Look, they know I'm not from that scene. I'm not there filming every 5 minutes and working with, BBC or Sky or whatever. I'm not used to that kind of place, and I just thought the whole thing was a bit odd. So. Yeah, I didn't take too well to it at the time, but I bit my lip, which is surprising to a lot of people that know me, and just felt that it wasn't worth arguing or getting into any kind of confrontation about it. And actually, some of the film crew there actually pulled me aside and said, "This is what it's like. We're sorry."
Yeah.
Is
it kind of like an arrogance thing from him? Do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And listen, like. I understand. I get it thrown at me sometimes. You're arrogant, and I understand why that view happens. And I think that when you are confident, and I've been confident ever since I was in my early 20s. Always had confidence. When we talked earlier, I was in BNI. I did lots of presenting in front of 200 people, whatever, and I never got nervous. I was just not. I don't want to say born to do it, but I just really enjoyed getting up and presenting. People will say, "Oh, he's a bit arrogant," and there are times I've said arrogant things without a doubt. I just think that in that moment, it's not like I'm somebody of a similar age to him, and I'm not saying age should come into it, but I just thought it was just out of place, and there was no point in me taking it any further or doing anything else with it. It's just a story I have to tell, really, but I'm not alone.
No,
there's loads of people, and I even seen online loads of stories about that particular person. But I just, he left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I have to say, and I will come across him again. I'll remind him he said it.
Yeah, well, he's actually on the show next week.
Come in.
Yeah, we'll get you back, and we can have a sit down. And Jeremy Kyle, and
you got your viral moment now. You can work this out. What are you saying?
So because you mentioned there obviously about the confidence. Now, I'm reminded of, and I'm going to badly quote this, so please do sort of correct me. I think, am I right in saying that a teacher once said you won't make a living from digging holes?
No, it wasn't a teacher, but that saying did happen. It was, funny enough, it was somebody at BNI.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things that happened. So, by the way, like I said to you earlier, I just want to make it clear, big fan of what BNI did for me. I joined it when I was like 21. I remember going to a business meeting in Wellers, like it was huge for me. Duncan Webster, who owns the region, gave me a lot of freedom to I became area director, and he gave me a lot of freedom to run parts of the region or run different groups, and it built me as a business person, because I had to deal with I had to do a lot of negotiations with solicitors and, you know, I didn't go to university, so I was dealing with, you know, highly intelligent people and trying to get different scenarios and work things out, trying to get everyone to follow the rules. So it was huge for me. But two things happened. One of them was when I first decided I was going to do swimming ponds, I stood up in the meeting and I talked about it, and I got laughed at. I almost laughed out the room. No one's going to buy one of them. And it's not just them, it's my family. None of my family thought it'd be successful, including, and she knows, including my wife. It thought it wouldn't go great, and including my general manager, Lindsay. And to this day, she'd say it's madness, you know, that we ever went down that road. But it has been very successful for the company. So, you know, but I've made tons of decisions that haven't been. But that one has worked. The other thing that happened was somebody that I didn't get on particularly well with just made a comment once that you'll never succeed digging holes in the ground. And the interesting thing about that comment, and I've said it to a few people, is I've still to this day never driven a digger. So I've always had team members that have done that. Of course, I've hand dug or whatever, but I mean, I've not picked up a spade for the company in, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. But I just thought the comment was, I talk about, I believe with entrepreneurs, I believe, and I'm not suggesting I am that. I think that's something that other people call you. But I believe the most successful ones have a chip on the shoulder. That's my belief. So I call it the entrepreneur's chip on the shoulder. I think you need to have a bit of a chip on your shoulder. I got bullied at school. It gave me a chip on the shoulder, and that comment gave me a chip on my shoulder. And I enjoyed the fact seeing that person isn't doing as well as I'm doing, let's say. And it depends how you measure that, I suppose, and that's subjective. But to me, the comment was, you're beneath me, you're doing a manual job. And I just... anyone that's ever worked for me, they can say, and they won't all have famous stories and like me, I'm sure, but one thing they'll say is I've never not treated anybody like an equal. Everyone that works for me, it doesn't matter what position they are in the company, everybody is a human and equal, and we should be treated like that. So, yeah, so someone did say that. It did rub me up the wrong way, but sometimes I just believe you just need people to not believe you're going to succeed, and it drives me like mad. You know, you were saying about this competition. I'm going, how do I get first? What do I got to do to get? I'm so competitive, and it does rub people up the wrong way because of how competitive I am. Gemma's not competitive at all. She hates it when I get competitive with her. But yeah, I just think that you got to have that bit of a chip. And I've done enough self-development to probably get rid of it, but I actually feel it's useful to get up in the morning and go, pff. So like, am I okay just to keep going on?
Please,
yeah.
No, that's fine.
So, because I realised I did, and I jump from things to things. So, Gemma is I've been with Gemma for 20 years now. It's my absolute soulmate. I know for a fact I'll always be with her, okay? And I've been loyal to her, and I always will be loyal to her, and she'll be loyal to me. And I know tons of people say it doesn't work out, but that's just how I feel, especially in the moment. And I've always felt. She sometimes says subtle things to me that sometimes I don't think she knows she does it, but it just goes, oh, okay. And I talked about failures in the business, and I'll give some proper examples later, but sometimes when Gemma's upset and not happy, what she needs is me to put an arm around her and tell her it's going to be okay. That's what she needs. And she needs me to do that. What I need is her to tell me to stop feeling sorry for myself. And the moment she tells me that, I go, yeah, I've got to sort it. And I think one day she said to me, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You need to get it sorted. You can't go on like this. You have to get it sorted. We're relying on you to get it sorted. And I was just like, wow, I need to go and get it sorted. And I think that's super important to me to have somebody there that can do that. And I have had to say to her, look, I believe that when something bad happens, I think, I once listened to it on an audio book, and they said, you mope for a day, but the next day you got to leave it. The moping the period's important. You have to have that period, but you do need to just get on with it. And like we all know, 2 years, you think to yourself, in 2 years' time, is it going to be a problem? It's probably not going to be a problem, ultimately. So I think that having somebody like Jeremy in my life is so important to any kind of success, because you just need that bump now and again. And the one recently, she said to me, she said, oh, I'd like to live in a bigger house. So we live in a big house, and we've got nice cars and all them things. But I can get a bit content, maybe occasionally. The business is doing really well, kind of in a marketplace where I don't feel as though there's much growth in it unless we took on another service. Mm-hmm. So let's start building swimming pools or doing something like that. But the trouble is, when you ever do anything new, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And it's going to create loads of problems and loads of cost, and you've got a lot of learning to do. And I'm kind of at the stage where, we can have a good living doing this, but she's going, well, wouldn't it be nice if we stepped up? Now, that's not her being ungrateful for where we're at. That's her having her own ambitions and goals. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And I kind of slept on it, and I went, right, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And so I'm writing a book currently about the health and fitness journey I've been on in the last 12 months. And I've got plans in place to do something in that industry with somebody I know. So we're gonna do something. It's probably going to be early part of next year. And I've got big plans for that. It will start off slow, and then we'll build it up. And it's just me going, I could have stayed content where I'm at, but me going, you know what? The more things I do, the less risk there is, but there might have to be some capital risk to start with, but the end result will be anything I've put my mind to, I can make successful. So so just them two things from Gemma, and she does that every now and again. I just believe you need someone just to boot you and push you, really.
Give you a little push up the back end, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we're slowly approaching the break, so I want to hear your 2 truths and a lie that you prepared for us, a fail or fiction. It might be best to do those after the break so we can talk about them and dive deeper. Yep. So quickly before the break, do you fancy playing our first game, Mystery Mishaps?
Yeah, let's go for
Fantastic. It. Fantastic. Right.
No idea what's going to happen, but...
Neither do I, to be honest. So, Sophia, how are we looking with the scores on the doors?
So, scores on the doors are 13 to the guests and 11 to the studio. So, you're already starting on a good foot. You're already ahead.
Yeah.
There we are. Sorry, so just to point out, producer Molly's not here.
Oh yeah, we've not even acknowledged that.
So I'm producing. I'm
Your
doing
producer Rob.
Producer Rob today.
I'm scorekeeper.
That's what I thought.
No, this little portrait of
We
Molly.
should get a little picture of Molly and stick her over the front.
Maybe next time. So Mystery Mishaps is really simple. So I've got a brand, a company, a service in mind that's either completely gone bust or failed, made a monumental mishap. Got some clues to share. You've just got to guess who it is.
Okay.
So this one here, I can tell you, are a UK-based gardening and landscaping company who became popular in the 2000s, known for a range of eco-friendly, sustainable gardening products. Are you ready for clue number 1?
No.
And of course, if you're listening at home or watching at home, please do play along. So clue number 1, as mentioned earlier, founded in the early 2000s, they focused on sustainability and eco-friendly products. I mean, at that stage, it could be anyone.
Yeah, anybody.
Any early guesses, Michael?
No idea.
No, you've got a bit of a leg up on me.
Well, this is going to be embarrassing then. I have no idea.
I'll be honest, I didn't know anything like this happened. Quite a famous company. So clue number 2, they were known for its speciality in native plants and organic gardening supplies, which appealed to green-minded urban gardeners. Do you want clue number 3?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, none of these clues will give you any hint whatsoever. In 2018, an investigation revealed their popular eco-friendly soil mix contained synthetic fertilizers, sparking customer outrage.
Okay.
Oh,
That kind of helps a little bit, but I'm not sure whether the company's it's a company that's gone bust, is it?
so I'll give you clue 3.5. They're still going. They are still going, but they had a massive dip.
Bullrush?
No. Give you clue 4. So they did launch a campaign to apologise and reformulate its product line to regain trust and ensure transparency in its sourcing.
I mean, I've got a good idea, but it's remembering the company name is going to be the problem for me.
I don't think I know a single gardening company name.
Is it going to be the company that own Miracle Grow? Is it going to be them? Is it Buyers?
No.
Right. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get this, if I'm honest.
I'm going to check. Clue 5 doesn't give you anything that I've wrote down here. I used the term earlier on when we were talking about the peace lily. I think it was off camera.
Yeah.
You're admiring the peace lily, and I penned a name for myself. I think I did anyway.
Green Thumb.
Finger.
Oh! So, yes, you are correct, Sophia. The brand is Green Fingers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Green Fingers, known for its focus on sustainable gardening, they faced a scandal in 2018 when its eco-friendly soil products were found to contain synthetic ingredients. The company has since committed to strict quality control and transparency, aiming to win back eco-conscious consumers.
Never heard of them.
I'd
There
never
we
heard
go,
of them.
me
No, I've never heard of them. But well done, Sophia. You've apparently
you.
heard of them, or was just a
Closing
lucky
the
guess.
gap.
But look, we've got another couple of chances to earn some points anyway later on. But we're going to take a quick pause there for a quick moment or two for a break, and we'll be back in just a second.
Hey, Spence.
Hey, Sophia.
Don't you think someone would be silly to not go with the paragon of sales for their sales and marketing?
Oh, you'd be foolish.
You would be
absolutely foolish.
so silly. Luckily, I happen to know a company,
No.
and they are, by design, a paragon of sales and marketing.
Really? Tell me
Yes.
more.
They handle it all. We're talking fully outsourced sales.
Fully outsourced sales.
That's telesales
No.
with lead generation, appointment setting, high conversion We're talking marketing. Now, this isn't just any marketing. This is digital marketing. Sounds like an
Why are you an
M&S advert.
We need some Fleetwood Mac playing in the background.
We've got web design.
Can we do that?
We'll get copyright strike.
Oh, okay.
Web design, SEO, social media management, and mail outs.
That's right, we can't forget the mail outs.
We can't forget the mail outs.
So for these foolish people that are using a substandard marketing agency, what should they do next?
They should send us an inquiry about how we can help them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
To our email at hello@paragonsalessolutions.co.uk. You should go to our website www.paragonsalessolutions.co.uk, or they should hit us up on our socials at Paragon Sales Solutions.
Amazing.
I
think that was my favourite.
Hi guys, and welcome back. Thank you for listening to that short break. We've just played a game of Mystery Mishaps.
Probably turn the music off, sorry.
We've literally just played a game for Mystery Mishaps, and finally I'm starting to get a little bit of victory. We're closing that gap.
We're slowly. So what we're on now? 13-12?
13-12.
13-12.
So it's all to play for, and especially because we're about to play our next game of Fail or Fiction. Michael, have you got your two truths and a lie? So for anyone who hasn't listened before, or just to refresh on the rules, basically what we do is we ask business leaders for a couple of stories, 3 stories, 2 of which are true, 1 of which is fake, but we don't know which is which. And then afterwards, me and Rob will try and figure out if we can pen out the lie.
So it's you versus us, Michael.
Yeah, but I think I've already explained this is going to be so obvious it's untrue.
Well, we had someone believe that they were so bad at lying they had to put a bag on their head.
Oh, okay.
So as
Steph.
long as
Yes.
Yeah. Steph, yeah.
Yeah. So over to you. Tell us each story, and we'll dive into them.
Okay. So if I just I'll condense the stories, and then if you want to elaborate on them after, that's fine. So, I think it's a big failure of most business owners. If I'm honest, it's the old classic. I'm not very good at that. Okay, and for me, very early on, I'm a good salesperson. I can sell, but I'm not very good with numbers. I'm terrible with numbers. So my year end was up. I can't remember what year this was. This is probably about 8 years ago, something like that. My year end was up. My accountant called me. I'll say it's Mike from Tor Waterfield. And I've worked with Mike and I've said to Mike, it even fell out of him, I'd still use him because I like reminding him of the fact that I have turned it round. So that's worth it for me. He called me and said, Michael, we've done your numbers, but it don't look very good. So I'd like you to come in and obviously we need to come in and discuss them. But yeah, we need to have like a bit of a serious chat. So obviously that's takes you back to being a school kid and getting told off by the teacher, and it didn't feel great, if I'm honest. So I said to Gemma, I said, I think, because Gemma's co-director, she doesn't have a huge day-to-day involvement, but she just lets me get on with it. But ultimately, I felt as though I shouldn't hear it alone, and she should hear it rather than hear it secondhand from me explain it to her. So I went in and seen the accountant, and Mike basically said, this isn't good. And I think his exact words were, if you have another year like this, you won't be here.
Wow.
I mean, not dead. I assumed he meant not dead, but I assumed he meant the business wouldn't be here. And I think when you hear that, I sometimes say to the team, look, if things didn't work out, what you have to bear in mind is, you guys just get another job. Now, you might love the job and you want to be here for the rest of your life, and I want you here for the rest of your lives, but you would just get another job. But the problem is when you're the company owner, you lose everything. Like your house, cars, everything you built, everything you put everything into. I mean, it'd be mortifying. It's my biggest fear, and I wouldn't be alone in that it'd be my biggest fear. And what's even worse for that is, the word I'll use is shame. It's the shame of Gemma hearing that and going, wow, and then she'd never say, oh, you're a failure or anything. Of course she wouldn't, but of course you're going to think, oh, she would think that. So we both sat there listening to it, and the end of the so we talked about what do we do, bankruptcy, insolvency, and where do we go from here, and Mike kind of taught me around to, no, you're turning over a lot of money for a company that builds ponds. There's something there. You just got to keep going. You've got to make it profitable. And the only way you're going to make it profitable is you understand your numbers. You have to understand them numbers. So he said, look, we'll have a monthly meeting and we'll do your numbers, and we'll do it for a year and we'll get you on it. I think we did it for 2 months. And in them 2 months, I questioned him on everything and learned everything about P&L. And I know way too much about P&L. I'm not saying I could be an accountant. I did think about doing an accountancy course, but I just learned so much about spreadsheets and understand. And a guy that used to work for me, Mike, who sadly died a few years ago, he had a battle with cancer, which kind of came on really quickly. And the thing is, it's just different. Miko, I'll call it. That's what I used to call him, German guy. And he used to say to me, because I'd get him doing some of the pricing, and he'd go, well, how much do you want to charge for labour? And at the time I'd say £300. And he'd go, and this is true, or it could be false. And he would say, why? And I go, well, Barry charges £250 at the moment, I think. So I think we'll charge £300. Even though he's doing landscaping, I'm doing ponds. I don't know what, it's madness. And he goes, you can't price like that. Yeah, you have to price in reverse. You have to understand your fixed costs. You have to understand how much money you want to make. And then I just did not understand what he was on about. And I think he'd be very proud looking now that I very much understand it and I'm very focused on it. So I would say that it's probably my biggest strength is my numbers and understanding numbers. Not saying they're always as great as I'd like them to be, but I can normally predict them quite well and I can predict forwards quite well. And having a mass understanding of profit and loss, balance sheets, how you make money, how you generate profit, helps you in all departments in the business, more than I ever thought it would. So although that him saying that to me on the phone and then in that meeting, it was awful at the time, actually the difference it made to me as a company was, everything really. So yes, that's one story.
Story one.
Which could be true, could be false.
Could be one or the other.
Could be one or the other. I've got so many stories, employee stories. I was saying I could do hours talking about health and fitness. I could do hours talking about HR stories. It's just one in particular I look back on now. I actually called Lindsay earlier and I just said, look, is there anything you can think of that's happened that I could talk about? I said, I've got this one. And she kind of said, well, we've got that one and that one. And I'm like, not really sure that I should be saying that. So we decided on this one. So I had somebody that worked for me and for some reason, I don't know why, well, I know why now, but for some reason the van he was using. So just so I make it clear, we work away. Yeah. Pretty much every job we do is London, Bristol. We do some Manchester. Very few jobs in Leicester. We do work a bit in Leicester, but very few jobs. We're all around the country, all over the place. And obviously to do that, they stay away. So this guy started working for me. And for some reason, the van didn't work. And we're like, that's a bit odd. I mean, it does happen, of course. We've got lots of vans and it can happen. So we got the mechanic out and the fan belt went. Unusual, especially vehicles that are looked after. And it felt unusual. So we're like, okay. Right, so that got sorted. And then, I can't remember what the second one was. It was something like the tyres had gone or something. The tyres had gone. I was like, what? All right. So there was another day, and again, he couldn't go to work. And then we had another incident, which happened at the office. So the van, they were saying, oh, the van's not working, moving. And I thought, third one in a week? That sounds a bit weird. All of a sudden, there was a big bang. And this person was laying on the floor and the tyre blew. It's a bit random. The tyres blew. Well, then my operations manager at the time seen that on the floor there was a knife and he'd cut the tyre and it blew in his face. And he tried to hide the knife, but it was very obvious what he'd done. And then we kind of got a bit more information. Yeah, I thought it was weird at the start of the morning. He had the hood open, he was looking at the van, and then suddenly it didn't work. And all this stuff started to come out. So he obviously didn't want to work away or whatever it was. But why didn't he say the job wasn't for him? It just would have been so much easier rather than wrecking my vehicles. So, and then it turns out now he's a car mechanic. So
he found his passion.
He found something. So yeah. Okay, so that's my second story.
Story 2, yep.
Could be true or false.
Yeah.
I'll play the game. So my third one. I've told this story a lot actually, and I think I talked about it on our podcast as well about this happening to me. So when we started building swimming ponds, I was very much at the forefront of selling them. Mm-hmm. So I would go out, see a client and try and sell the project. Now, when you're the business owner, it's very difficult when you've got to wear so many hats. You'd have heard that a lot, wouldn't you? And you would know that as well. You wear so many hats in business. And this particular moment, we hadn't got any work booked in for December and January. Now, you know, we all have fears in business, going bust, not making payroll, which I've always made payroll. And the other one is not having any work on for the team. Like, for me, that's just a horrible place to be in. So I knew that was coming up, and we had a job, and I could see he was keen. It was one of the first swimming ponds we ever built, and I could see he was keen, and he wanted to go ahead. He was giving me all the right buying signals. Now, we do this thing in our company where we always have an agreed set price, always. I don't go, the midway through the job, it's going to be X amount more. Never done that. The only thing we'll do, and it does say it in writing, and we always make it very clear, waste removal is additional. Okay, so, and the reason for that is it's random. It's sometimes really hard to predict. You can give them a rough idea. So I surveyed this site, and I thought it was about a 2-foot drop from one end to the other, 25 metres long. I thought it was about a 2-foot drop at most. So, about 600 mil, something like that. And then I didn't think it was a drop the other way. So when the team started, so basically we agreed the job, but agreed that I would include the waste removal. Because at the time, I was desperate to make sure that we had some work on for the team. Christmas is coming. The last thing I want to be worrying about is whether we've got any work on for the team and stuff. The project took, so bearing in mind, we normally do, now we do a 150 grand project, probably in about 4 weeks. It's probably how long it takes. Sometimes it's 3 weeks, sometimes it's 5 weeks, but it's normally in that kind of ballpark. This job I sold was 80,000, including that, and it took us 9 months to complete it. And not only did it take 9 months to complete, I can tell you that the waste removal cost the company 30 grand, just in waste removal. And when I sat down, and I did sit down and work it out, I worked out one day what the job actually costs to build. And it cost 270,000 to build the project. So when you make a mistake like that, you have to start to review a lot of things. The company survived through it. This is going to sound really weird that I say this. Probably we was a touch lucky with COVID for 2 different reasons. One is because the government was giving out loans, and we took a loan out, which it's almost paid off now. And I think that cash injection probably just paid the debt of paying for that job. It wasn't 270 grand, but it would have helped. So I think that was probably one of the big things. And the other thing is, when COVID happened, the leads went mad, so we was able to get lots of sales in, and we were quite far in front with work, and the cash flow helped probably keep the company afloat at the time. So, I mean, this is going back to the year 2020, obviously. And it was just a massive learning for me. And the one thing I realised at the time was, and we was talking earlier about how to manage things as the owner and not be involved with everything. And I realised that I don't need to be doing the sales, because my mindset might be changeable with what's going on work-wise, and I might make poor decisions because of that. So I brought in Tim, and Tim is still with me today, and he'll be with me until he retires. The thing about Tim is unbelievably detailed, methodical, a lot more than I am, much better at surveying than I ever was, worked in the landscaping industry for 20 plus years, and he's just absolutely changed. I mean, he's not the only person. I brought lots of people in that have changed the company, and it changed at different times. Lindsay's my general manager, has been my rock for the 15 years I've been in business. She's pretty much always been with me. She used to work for mum and dad, so I've known her like pretty much all my life. Having him there meant that I wasn't on the cold front of making that decision making. So yeah, it's just kind of weird how these things happen, but we managed to play our way through it, as a football term, and we did, and now the business is very successful. But it is very successful because of the people I brought in, not because of me, the owner. It's successful because of them, because they are very good at what they do, and they make sure that I can keep focused on what's important. So, yeah, I don't know if you've had any failures as big as that one, but that's quite a big one.
We've got 3 to dive deep. What's your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts, is that I'm a little bit stumped.
I've got an inkling as to which one is the false story.
Yeah.
But only because I think it's a true story, but with a deviation. I think just going off what Michael said off camera. Yeah. So we've got obviously the meeting with the accountant. Things are in the rough. We've got the guy who just clearly didn't want to commute anywhere, and then obviously the kind of the massive job that was undercharged for, really.
Yeah.
God, I don't know.
Here's the thing, and this was a conversation that we as a team were having quite openly the other week about making sure you're charging the right amount for the work that you do.
Yeah.
I think we've definitely underpriced ourselves, and I think it's something that most businesses do. When you want the work, you just become competitive.
We've undervalued ourselves so many times. One of my biggest failures is, I remember when I first set up in business, and I remember I took on Abby, my first employee, in month 1. Similar to you, she was paid an hourly wage. I thought it was too cheeky to ask the client for more than her hourly wage. I was an idiot. So I was literally losing money on NI and everything else in between, because I thought, well, if she's on X amount of money, I can't charge them more. So those things happen. I mean, that's a massive jump from about an 80 grand, bill up to 200 or whatever it was. Okay, I'm going to lock in. I think the chat with the accountant is a true story.
Have you ever had an uncomfortable conversation with Brooke?
Luckily, no. So we use Tor Waterfield.
Yeah.
So we've got Brooke Lucas looking after us. I've got very much a love-hate relationship with Brooke.
In that he hates you and you love him.
Well, yeah. There is that. But because, luckily, fortunately, every time Brooke, because it's our time right now, he said he needs to come out to see us to talk about our, end of whatever we've got to do. But it's always because we've made more money. So that means the tax bill is just getting higher and higher. So I'm trying to reverse engineer that and be thankful for that. But I know Mike, I know Tor Waterfield, I know they're switched on. I know that if those conversations, they'll invite you into the office. And I think, because that's then what's confused me, because, and this is where I go real deep into this, Michael, you've said, obviously you've had this chat with the accountant, you've then studied your numbers, you've known your numbers, but then you've undercharged on the last job.
Yeah. But we don't have a timeline.
Trying to work on the timescales. So you lock in, Sophia.
It's tricky. I think, you know what? I completely get what you say when you think that you have one strength in business. So you're like, my strength was sales, didn't know numbers, and then all of a sudden you find through hardship you find a passion for something else. I get that. That all makes sense to me. I think I'm happy to lock in that first one's true.
First one. Michael, is the first story true?
Yes.
I feel bad for celebrating that.
Yes, I didn't celebrate it.
So if you don't mind, how long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That would probably be about 8 years. It is before.
Okay.
The other story, yeah, absolutely. And I think, just to qualify that as well, just because you get better at it don't mean that you've mastered it. And I think you're always learning, and I've always got better and better. And also, I've only been allowed to really master it once I've completely come off sales, come off marketing, just come away from it all. And a good productive day for me as the owner of the company is to sit in front of Excel work numbers out.
Sounds riveting.
Sounds like Connor.
It does sound like
I'll do a day on Excel and I'll completely map out the company for years, and I'm quite accurate at it as well. The only thing that always moves is leads numbers, and like I said, like leads, down year on year since COVID, because COVID was such a boom for us, but actually sales have gone up and up. So some of those numbers kind of change and move, but I mean, like I say, you never master any of it really. You just get better at it. So
we've got another two stories to dive into.
So the second story we haven't talked much about.
No.
So here's the thing. People not wanting to do a job that they've applied for happens all the time.
Yeah.
I will say my partner is a manager for a logistics company.
Right.
And the amount of times that things go wrong with sort of lorries and forklifts is amazing.
Yeah.
But
would you go to the extent of putting a knife in a tyre?
Well, here's my thing. Did they go on to become a car mechanic?
I think that's the red herring. I think everything was true up until that point.
Have you ever had a day where you have literally been like, I will stab my tyre to not have to come into work today?
No, but I remember once when I was really, really young, I was adamant I didn't want to do my paper round, and my mum wouldn't let me not do my paper round. So I just ran into the field around the corner from here and just hid in the field for 2 hours and pretended I did it. I called in sick to the news agent, but I couldn't fathom to my mum that I just wimped out on this paper round. So just went and hid in the field. So I think people have got it in them. What we're going to do is, because I've made a bit of a mishap here on the soundboard, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So we're going to take another quick short break, and then we'll lock in on the second answer. Is that fair?
Cool.
Perfect. We'll be back in just a second. Sphere, as well as being an incredible podcast host, you also work for an incredible company called Paragon Sales Solutions.
I do work for an incredible company, and that company is called Paragon Sales Solutions.
If you were to kind of explain to a complete stranger in a smoking area or, down the park, which happens quite a lot, how would you explain what Paragon do?
Paragon are a fully outsourcing sales and marketing company. They handle everything top to bottom, from telesales, digital marketing, social media management, web design, lead generation, appointment setting. They cover it all.
You hit the nail on the head, really. I couldn't have said
Thank you.
better
Well,
myself.
maybe if I had someone who was, I don't know, perhaps quite senior in that company, they could give me a few more ins and outs on exactly what it is that Paragon do.
Well, I was hoping you would help me, to be honest, because I don't even know half the time. But absolutely, if people were looking for any of those, web design, social media, any kind of marketing or sales, how should they get in touch?
They should contact us on... No, they shouldn't. They can visit www.paragonsalesolutions.co.uk, and they can find all the information they need there, including quick inquiry forms, or they can send us an email to hello@paragonsalesolutions.co.uk again. We are also all over social media. That's where we put a lot of our latest offers and things that we're doing, getting up to, so you can follow us there if you want to see what we're doing. Again, we are Paragon Sales Solutions pretty much everywhere.
There we go, like a pro.
Like
no one will know that we just made that up on the spot. Welcome back to the latest episode of How I Failed in Business. So we need to lock in on the final fail or fiction.
Yes.
I'm still convinced the second one is true. It's just that bit at the end.
A deviation from the truth, but nonetheless, the false story.
Well, hold on. Before we go on to that, I've just admitted that I hid in a field, right?
Yeah.
To get out of a paper round. Have you ever done anything to get out of work?
Anything recently?
Yeah.
Hopefully not within the past 6 months.
9 months.
Oh, of course it is, yeah.
What have I done? I'm sure that I done. When I used to work in hospitality, and obviously you're working through the night, and I think there's been times when I've already done my whole day, going about my life, and then it's come to like 5 o'clock when I need to be clocking in, and I thought, stuff this. I'm not
Yeah.
going. And I'm sure that I've in the past gotten very creative.
Oh, how creative?
I don't know what I have said.
I'm just trying to marry it up if it's any of the excuses I've heard for here.
I think I before have been like that I said that I was my partner used to live in Birmingham, and I think I said that I was stuck in Birmingham.
Yeah,
but I wasn't. I was in Leicester the whole time.
Yeah, so your fan belt hadn't gone. You hadn't
I
lost
stabbed
a
my
tyre.
tyre out.
I still love the fact about knocked himself out. So then the last story, 100% the last story is, I think, true. Do you think?
Yeah, I think.
Because then
so.
could you misquote? No offense, but like, could you misquote that far off?
But it's almost like if you're going to misquote, you might misquote it massively, because it's not one thing that's gone wrong. Loads of things have gone wrong.
Most money in construction is basically lost in groundworks.
Really?
Because you just don't know what's going to, and especially if you haven't surveyed it correctly. So that's why the mistake was made.
So does that mean the third one was true?
I mean, possibly.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
Third one was true. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a big steep.
Yeah, it was
loss
huge.
for the company.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, and ultimately, and this is the other thing I'll say. I'm very clear with my team and with clients. Even it's my fault. Like there's no getting around it anyway. It's my fault. Even if I'm not physically pricing it, we make a mistake. It's my fault. As a company owner, anything that goes wrong, it's your fault. It's your responsibility. And to me, that's the only way you learn. I remember listening to an audio book. I think it's Larry. He's an American. Might be Larry Hunt. That might be wrong. I can't quite remember his name. And he said, in a very American way,
Yeah.
anything that happens in business, if you're the owner, is your fault. Anything that happens in your life is your fault. And to me, it was like when I listened to it, it's like a wow moment. I was just like, wow. If I was just to take full responsibility for everything, what would change? And everything changed for me when I heard that. And he gave this story. He said, people argue with me all the time about it. And he said, somebody said, well, what if the power went off? I'm not in control of that. What if the electricity company switches the power off? And what if, my food in the freezer goes off or whatever? And he said, well, why haven't you got a generator? You could have done that. You could have had a generator, so it might not have been a problem. I just think it's really clever. Now, of course, you can get horrible diseases, cancer or whatever it might be, and you can't really control that. And I think even he understands that. But it's just that, why don't you just get your mindset in anything that happens in the company is my fault. And I try and get the team to think that way. And sometimes I think feeling sorry for yourself is probably the biggest enemy that anyone has. And I do believe that's why drink culture is so big, because I think I don't drink alcohol. I'm really sad. I was like a right hippie. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs, don't do anything. And I just think that when people do, it's generally because they want to escape and they just want to forget the problems. And I felt very early on in business that there was two things I did. I decided I'm not going to drink alcohol excessively. I don't drink at all now, but at the time it was like, I'm not going to drink excessively because if I've got problems, I need to deal with them. Yeah. And I can't have an escapism. I have to deal with them. And the second thing was, this probably should have been the truth game, is that I would stop playing Football Manager. So I decided very early on, when it became my company, I'm no longer ever going to play Football Manager, because that game for football fans is the most obsessive game. Yeah. When you're sat on the toilet and you're doing press conferences, you know that you've done. You're done. You can't do any more of that. So, and even FIFA, I started playing FIFA. I'm not really big into games, but I started playing FIFA. And I'm not even going to say the amount of money that I spent in a year on the packs or whatever they're called. Yeah.
Was it the Ultimate Team you were playing?
Yeah. And I wasn't particularly great at the game either, because obviously there's like these 8-year-olds that are amazing, and Gemma would always like say you're just getting beat by 5-year-olds or whatever. I had to make a conscious decision. This is starting to get a bit obsessive, and because obsessive personality, I need to stop. So I did stop. But yeah, so you see that quite a lot, really. And I think people that feel sorry for themselves generally do that because they just don't deal with the problems. And so like my family, and my extended family, normally the last person they come to for sympathy, because I'm very cutting. And my brother went through a divorce, and I'm okay to just tell a couple of stories about.
Please, by all means.
About how cutting I am. So my brother went through a divorce. He was obviously very upset, and the first thing I said to him is, "It's your own fault." I said, "You'd not got here alone." I said, "Yes, there's two of you, but," I said, "quite frankly, if I'd have been her, I'd have had you out and all." And it's probably not what he needed to hear at the time.
Yeah.
But it's certainly what he got from me. And I mean, I was supporting him, and I put a roof over his head for a time period, and he sorted himself out. But I literally was really cutting. And then the other one, which is probably quite a bit worse. So my uncle Paul, my mum's brother. I love my Uncle Paul. We have a great relationship now, probably better than we've ever had. We communicate quite a lot. We did start to do a bit of a competitive thing doing sports challenges, but basically he beat me at 6 different sports. I then beat him at mini golf. And since then, he's got obsessive with golf. I'm not saying it's linked, and we haven't done anything since. Not saying it's linked, but we're very competitive people. And he got diagnosed with prostate cancer, which of course is awful. And what happened is, on the same day he got diagnosed with prostate cancer, the Royal Mail, who he'd worked at for 29 years, made him redundant. And when they made him redundant, he lost his private medical health cover. So on the same day, he found out all this news. And so I said to him, "Well, come see me at the office. We'll start to talk about what you're going to do now," or whatever. And he's telling me this story. And he tells me this story about Royal Mail. And I can't remember what the percentage was, but 2% every year they get rid of middle management. Every year they do it. It's just a thing they do, bring costs down or whatever. So he's telling me this story. And I went, "Can I just say something?" And he goes, "Yeah." I went, "Whose fault is it that you lost that job?" And he goes, well, it's them. They've got rid of me. I was doing well. I performed well. I went, "Yeah, but whose fault is it?" And he went, "I think you're trying to insinuate it's my fault." And I said, "It's 100% your fault. I'll tell you why it's your fault. You know they get rid of 2% every year, and you're that ignorant to think that it ain't going to be you one day. It was going to be you one day, because everyone's going to get their elbow from that organisation, because that they've literally got it as a company rule, or I think they have, just don't want to get into legal troubles."
Don't come at me, Royal.
Yeah, exactly. So, so like sometimes Gemma always say it's just timing. I just don't do it at the right moment or the right time. But I just kind of feel like that's how I like the information, so I give it to other people. It's just I know that I'm very different, and not many people would like it how I do. But anyway, you can only just give your own subjective view, can't you? And people can take it however they want to take it. And I mean, he's not falling out at me over it, but it is a story I occasionally tell, and I'm sure he doesn't remember it very fondly.
Well, just before we can wrap up, fail or fiction. Was the middle story the story of the guy trying to get out of work? Was that a true or false story?
So it is. You're 100% correct. It is false because I changed the ending.
There we go.
It's the only way I could think of. Because I said to you, I'm not big on not telling the truth, and I understand it's a game and I get all that. But I've got so many real stories to tell that you can't even believe that's true. I don't know if he has become a mechanic. I have no idea.
I'd hope not.
Possibly has, but. Yeah, he doesn't work for me anymore, that's for sure.
No. Well, I mean, it sounds like he didn't want to be honest.
He did not want to, yeah. And he won't be alone as well.
Well, look, we'll slowly start to wrap up. But before we do, if I may, I'd like to play the final game of today, which is Jingle Tingle. Now, Jingle Tingle is a game where I've picked out 3 vintage TV adverts, radio adverts from the vault. And you have to just guess who the brand is, who the company is, or what the product is. Now, these have gone a bit older.
Okay.
So, Sophia, there's a good chance you may not have been born.
I'm being aged out.
For some of these. I do apologise. But
It's me as well, you know.
Look,
That's a young
Absolutely.
like you, I like to be truthful. Okay, I think you'll, one or two you'll get, and we'll go from there. So we'll play them one by one. If you can guess what it is, just shout it out.
I just got to guess the song, have I?
So guess the brand. These are all old adverts. So guess the brand, guess the company, guess the product, whatever it is. And of course, please do play along at home. Send in your scores. Drop us a DM on social media. Are you ready for number one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. There's a lifetime guarantee.
The audio is horrible.
What you want both night and day. And re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away.
No idea.
No ideas.
Re-record, don't fade away.
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
So the audio is atrocious there. So he's saying it's about a lifetime guarantee of this product. You can re-record and it won't fade away.
Is it VHS advert?
It is a VHS advert. Can you remember the brand of VHS it was?
Mitsubishi?
No.
They used to do a lot in them. Toshiba?
No.
Sony?
No. You're right with the S at the start. To give you a clue, they might have also made like sellotape.
I was going to say Samsung, but obviously it's not really that.
No.
Sellotape.
I think they make, well, obviously sellotape's a brand, but I'm sure they used to. I could be completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to just put you out of your misery?
Yeah,
Go on then.
please.
Scotch tape.
Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
There you go.
Oh yeah, I remember
you
them as a kid.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, I am older.
I was
now,
going to
aren't
say, when you said sellotape, I was going to say Scotch tape, and I thought, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I thought they made a kind of a range of.
I remember them VHS tapes.
Yeah, we
definitely.
all had them, and then it, I remember you used to take the little black thing out the back so you couldn't record on
That's
it again.
right,
But if
yeah.
you sellotaped over it, you could.
Yeah,
Magic, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
So I'll play number two. Now this one is from 1995,
Okay.
voiced by the legendary Bob Hoskins. Now, full transparency, I've had to take out about a minute of this advert because he was going on a bit. But the bit at the end, you might grasp, you might get.
Not, what men call chatter really does matter. It's about being a friend, having the time to listen. And you know what? It's what makes the world go round. Waldo's touring town. Guess who's looking after their kids? That's right, a friend. It's good to talk.
It's good.
BT.
BT.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. Was it the good? It's good to talk bit at the end.
Yeah.
Do you remember that old kind of branding?
Oh, yeah, I remember the old brand.
Yeah, it's just for the old BT branding there. It's good to talk. That was quite an iconic slogan of theirs for quite a while, wasn't it? Right, we'll play the final one. This one's a bit older, 1999.
Okay.
You ready?
Pick up anything nice? Not really. Eh? But it's not too late. You're terrible, you. Alright. I've not seen one of those before. Hey, look at that Jude. 3 chocolate-covered chocolatey fingers. Ooh, thanks.
Cadbury's.
Don't think it's made by
How far are you
Cadbury's.
going, look?
Chocolate fingers.
All the way. See, it always works.
So you've kind of said the right. It's something fingers. I don't think these exist anymore. I'd never heard of these.
Milk fingers.
There was a clue at the very start of the advert.
What year was it?
1999. I'm going to play the start of the advert again, and I'll see if you can pick up the company. Hold on.
Pick up anything nice? Not really.
Penguin.
Eh?
Penguin. Penguin
Pick up a
fingers.
penguin.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So yeah, I'd never heard of these products here. I don't know if you can see them here. They look
Penguin
like
fingers.
kind of. It's quite hard to see, but they look a bit like Twixes.
Oh, never known.
Dare I say? I don't think I've ever had one.
No.
Very sexist advert. These two flirtatious penguins trying to chat up this lad here. Poor lad. Poor lad. Well, look. So how were the scores on the doors there?
So I've lost,
You've lost. Okay.
which means the gap is exactly what it was at the start of the
So we're back to 14, 12.
14, 12 now.
There you go. So you're keeping the guests well in the front there, Michael. Thank you very much. Well, look, really appreciate you coming onto the show. You shared some great stories. I guess for anyone that wants to keep in contact with you, for anyone that wants to learn more about Ponds by Michael Wheat, how's the best place to kind of find out more?
I mean, I'm quite active on social, I suppose. I pretty much accept everyone on Facebook. So and I've got.
I thought I was special.
So and I'm on Instagram and stuff. So yeah, I mean, obviously the company's got its company Facebook page and company Instagram page, Ponds by Michael Wheat. So yeah, we're easy to find anyway.
Fantastic. We'll make sure we share a link in the show notes below. But look, really appreciate. I think there's more we could have spoken about, and we're very much fast approaching season 2 of the show. So I'd like to invite you back for season 2 if you're up for it, and maybe sort of dive deeper into some of those sort of failure stories and dive deeper into how you overcame them. If you're up for that,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Fantastic. Do you want to wrap up today?
I can wrap up today.
Go on, over to you.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will be back again on Friday with our overview episode. And then, as always, next Tuesday, we'll have our next guest interview episode. And soon, we're going to be having some more special scheduling coming up as we engage in the run-up to Christmas. We've got some very fun things coming up. But if you would like to come on as a guest for season 2, that's what we're now taking. I was about to say applications.
We'll accept applications, I think, yeah.
You can email us at howifailedinbusiness@gmail.com. We are across socials pretty much everywhere, How I Failed in Business Podcast. If you just want to share a special silly story about a business failure, you can DM us, or you can DM me and Rob directly, Rob Spencer, Sophia Grace. And until the next episode, thanks very much for watching. Bye.
All the best.